My name is Nichole Mesnard Hoaglin. I am a postdoctoral research fellow in the lab of Dr. Scott Brady. I've been here for a little over a year at University of Illinois Chicago. My research focus is in neuroscience and also how the immune system impacts the brain in studying neuroscience. And so my interest is actually studying how the nervous system, the brain, functions in health and then what happens in a disease state. And so in order to actually study the mechanisms of what's happening when there's disease or disorder, we need to understand how it actually functions normally. So as a child, my interest was generally in science, mostly with the why questions. But then when I was in high school, my mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I was already interested in the brain because it's the most complex and unknown part of our body as far as how it functions normally, and then even more confusing when you get to disease states. And her diagnosis really enforced the fact that I wanted to go into medicine and science and just know everything that I could about a degenerative disease that was now so personal. And so I went into undergrad at Indiana University thinking that that was going to be my career in medicine, and I joined a lab my junior year, and the principal investigator actually convinced me that science would be a better fit for my type of personality because I was interested in these mechanistic whys. The majority of our experiments focus on how parts of the brain interact with one another on a daily basis when the brain is healthy, and then what goes awry when there's a particular type of disease like Alzheimer's or ALS. Huntington's disease, for instance, is another one that we study in this lab. So my specific research experiments conducted in this laboratory look at the molecular aspects of a neuron. And so specifically, the neuron has a cell body, an axon, and then an axon ending. And our interest is in the information and material that gets transported from the cell body down the axon to its target. So the target could be a muscle, could be another neuron, it could be the heart. But there's a lot of information that has to get passed from one point to the other. And if you're talking from the brain down to an arm muscle, there's a long road that needs to be traveled. And in a healthy person, there's no dysfunction, the cargo is being transported properly, but with a disease, there's disruption in the transport. So let's say it's a train moving along a track, and either the track has a missing piece, which prevents the cargo from being transported, or the actual cargo is missing components, and so when it gets to its destination, it doesn't have everything to allow the neuron to function normally. So when my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, it really pushed me to want to understand why neurodegenerative diseases happen and a sporadic onset. So not when they're inherited and one family member has it, and so you know it's going to get passed down through the generations. But why in one family can you have one person with ALS or one person with multiple sclerosis? And it was hard for me to understand that because I just didn't have the tools, and science was going to be my tool. My overall mission for my research is to expand this body of knowledge. With today's technology and the internet, the ability to share our published manuscripts, so when we get data, and the only way to communicate with other scientists is to publish it or go to conferences, it's incredible. I mean, 30, 40, 50 years ago, you would have to wait for the journal publication print to be mailed to you to see what other people around the world are doing. So this scientific body of knowledge is growing exponentially, and I hope to just contribute to a small little off branch, specifically in the field of ALS where my passion is, and just try to make a difference in the lives of those that are suffering.